All employers should specify why they rejected job applicants. You have not been selected for further consideration for this role has to be the biggest blow when you were really looking forward to a job. I know the obvious is probably they've considered other candidates, but it would make a lot of people feel better to just say that. Tell me if I was underqualified, something I didn't do right during the interview, or that you just found someone better. Maybe I'm too sensitive, but I often translate such vague reasons as not being good enough rather than there's something I could improve on or the job was a better fit for someone else. S/N, I'm fully aware of the legal and logical reasons to why this will never happen. Completely an applicant's perspective on what you'd like to happen, but understand why it won't. Pointless to do this. There's an easy cop-out in a generic: a more suitable candidate applied for the position. Especially if you're getting rejected for reasons that are not technically legal to select on. How do you tell a candidate you just don't like them? Companies aren't going to pay to have an employee contact every declined applicant, and have a conference with them to explain why they weren't selected for a job. If they did, the employee would be regularly harassed, and have to deal with the irrelevant arguments of candidates who are desperate to prove that their rejection was a mistake. Sorry bud, but this isn't going to happen. If this was mandated, every company would just find some generic drivel that they all put in every rejection letter. A better suited candidate was found type sentence, and you still wouldn't have any accountability or real reason. Now leaves them open to lawsuits. As a corporate recruiter, I can tell you, I usually just say we found another candidate. It's always a true statement, even if we don't know who that person is yet. It's gonna be someone else regardless. If I gave out the real reason, it would sometimes open us up to a lawsuit, an argument, or the candidate harassing me or the hiring manager. Bottom line is your resume/interview didn't impress. If you left something out in the interview, you should expand on that in the thank you note. 90% of interviews don't pan out because the candidate came across unprepared, didn't do research, couldn't explain situations they've been in, or couldn't answer a question. Why, when they're not gonna tell you the truth anyway, lol. And I've never actually been rejected for one, so this is coming from friends who have. No, why would a company have to tell you why you didn't get hired? They went in another direction, that's just life. I think they should only do this if the person has specifically requested a reason. Only if you get to the interview phase. In a perfect world, I would love a system like this. I applied to a couple positions at a certain place, got rejected, and every rejection email didn't really tell me why. Like, I would like to know why I got rejected, because if I'm simply not qualified enough to work here, tell me and I'll stop wasting your time with more applications. But as far as I know, I got rejected because other applicants could work better times than me, so I'm gonna keep applying. As someone who hires university students at the first round of cuts, I have too many applicants to be reasonably able to do this for all of them. If I have 100 resumes, I have more important things to do than tell 50 of them they don't have enough work experience to move forward, another 10 that either their grades are on the low end, and another 10 that their resume or cover letter has spelling, grammar, or formatting issues, and another 20 that there just isn't anything particularly noteworthy or interesting about their application to me. After that, it's pretty subjective, so unless a candidate asks, I'm not going to go out of my way to share. I may find a particular project or job more interesting than another. I may find one applicant seems like a more independent worker, which I like. Sometimes one applicant is just more interested in the job than another. Finally, when it gets down to the top 2 or so, it can be so subjective it's hard to even explain. I've hired someone because their references responded first and I needed someone immediately. I've hired people on a gut feeling because there was nothing else I could come up with. It sucks for applicants, but hopefully that helps explain the other side. I don't know. I once had an applicant come back after I called him to say we had filled the position and thanked him for his time. The next day he arrived and demanded to know why he wasn't chosen over this guy. I looked him straight in the face and said his social media doesn't reflect he is still acting like he is in college, that he was professional enough to know when I advise a full background check that it included social media, as it will reflect on the business. He stood there and said, "Do because I get drunk and fuck and post it I didn't get the job?" Yes, That is correct, I chose the person who is responsible enough to not post that shit. So see, sometimes it isn't really good to learn the truth. Especially if you don't really want to listen. Even if you take the logical and legal reasons out, which you already said you are aware of, hiring isn't just related to who is the best candidate, it's also about internals and who you know. You can say that a job is open to all applicants, but a company can promote internally as well, which is cheaper. Also, backdoor hires are completely common, since it could be the boss or hiring manager or even just another employee who knows someone else who looking for a job, so the other applicants are just out of luck. Point is that you can get a job or not get a job for the most menial of reasons.